My special guest this hour, X-Zone Nation, is Dr. John L. Turner. He's the author of Medicine, Miracles, and Manifestations, a doctor's journey through the worlds of divine intervention, near-death experiences, and universal energy. Doctor, before we went to the break, we were talking about this lady, and you were performing an operation on her in order to remove a tumor, and then everything went red.
That's correct. I was saying I had asked other doctors since that case, have they had a case where they couldn't stop the bleeding, and almost every one would tell me, well, yes, I have. And I said, well, what did you do? And they said, well, what can you do? And I know what that meant. You have to pack things off, you close it, you try to get the patient out of the operating room and over to the intensive care. But what happened to me in this case, after 8 hours of total work, and this lady, I said a silent prayer. I said, if there is a God, I need some help because I cannot do it. And I continued to say, it's not this woman's fault. She came to me for help, and I can't believe she's going to die right in front of me, and I'm helpless. So if there is some higher power, some God or whatever you call it, I need the help, and I need it now. And then I took a breath. I repeated all the efforts I had tried over the last 4 hours, and 15 minutes later, after a few sutures and clips, we released the pressure, and it was completely dry.
Oh, my gosh.
That was simply amazing. And I wasn't through. I did something then that now I realize in retrospect has a lot to do with the spin drift experiments described by Bill Sweet in his book, A Journey Through Prayer. What I did, I made a prayer that was called now non-goal directed. I said, now, wait a minute, I need something else. I'd like her to come out of this in the best possible way. It's possible she'll end up stroked or paralyzed or in a coma. Please let her come out the best possible way, and I'll be a good person. So in effect, Rob, that was my prayer.
It's like you made a deal. A metaphysical deal.
I would have been on my knees if I hadn't been all scrubbed up. I really needed some help. I couldn't do it.
You know, I've been doing this show now for 17 years, Doctor. And I've heard from people around this world that when they ask for help, they receive it. It seems that what we forget to do in life is to simply ask for the assistance or the divine help that we need.
Well, this was a case, my case, that explains that well. It demonstrates that very well, and it came through right away, and it was truly amazing. And from that point on, I said, well, look, there is a higher force, which I've come over the years now to simply call the Creator.
Yes.
There's something that makes all this work, and I tell you, to be able to tap into it was the years that followed. I said, well, how do you really tap into this when you need to? Is prayer the only way, or are there other ways?
Are there other ways?
Oh, there are. And prayer is one way that's quite effective in healing. There's also other types of healing or complementary medicine, such as Reiki, Jure, and so forth. And then there's the chanting, the Buddhist chanting that I talk about in the book. And finally, I end the book with something my friend Ernie in Rhode Island tells me that he really enjoyed. It's the last chapter called Now in Zen. Because to me, the Zen approach to look at this world is the best way. It's expressed in one word, and that word is thus. And it's just the way it is, and we have to deal with this in the best possible manner.
You mentioned psychics in your book, Doctor, from Edgar Cayce to Sylvia Browne. What is your opinion of psychics and their work?
Well, I don't think too much of the kind of shows that were popular with Dionne Warwick and her friends and John Edwards and all that, where they do a lot of things on the air, which seem to me to be promotional and gimmicks. I wasn't aware of some things with, for example, Sylvia Browne until I listened to your interview about the man who said, look, this Sylvia Browne is not doing the right thing, and his website, Stop Sylvia Browne, and so forth. I never heard about those things, but I rate the psychics. I mention them in my book because they do say that it's verified in their experience there is a tunnel of light that people reach when they have this near-death experience and so forth. And Edgar Cayce and, of course, your guest this Monday, Robert Bruce, are two psychics that I'm quite familiar with. In fact, I've worked recently with Robert Bruce on some psychic-related things, and it is quite accurate. So I think the psychics can be as accurate as 85%, but I found that with everything else, like remote viewing even, it's difficult to get on that right and accurate future. There are so many, infinite number of parallel universes, who knows where you really end up. But my feeling that psychics can be beneficial, I do reference them in my book.
How did you discover remote viewing, Doctor?
Well, I'd have to say remote viewing discovered me.
Oh, I see.
Webmaster for my website, who's done a great job, who recently passed to the next level, was with me on a Farsight Institute chat. That was Dr. Courtney Brown's chat site.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the listeners tonight, Dee Harris, was there, and some other friends. And one day, this friend posed a question as we're chatting. We're all interested in remote viewing. We wanted to do it. We had heard about it. And he asked if a bird flew off a limb, would that bird fly up, down, or straight out? And I thought for sure it would be a joke. And I said, okay, he'll fly straight out. And then suddenly a lurker appeared and said, well, that's called ARV, alternative remote viewing. And we